Off we go. Welcome to Tequila Tuesday. Thanks for being a part of Scotty's Little Sales Club on Patreon. I got a couple of housekeeping items I want to run everybody through before we get started tonight. I blew past the limit for Google Calendar, and so it's not letting me send calendar invites to everybody. So I apologize if you haven't been getting them. I just figured out a workaround like 15 minutes before this got started. So I'm creating this like Google group, and you'll all get added to it. You'll get some kind of notification and whatnot. So I should be able to send calendar invites through that group. So moving forward should be a little bit easier for us. Surface Sales is still open for the second session. We're going to start going after sponsors this week. Sponsors usually gobble up a bunch of sessions. Pretty sure we're going to open up a third session the week prior. So it'll be like, Jill, man the mute button properly, Jill. You're very experienced at this by now. We'll open up a third session at the very beginning of the month of November. So hopefully some of y'all can make it. There's a little bit of urgency, not as much urgency as before, perhaps. You got time to kind of make it happen, but we'd love to see some of y'all there. Upcoming Tequila Tuesday events. Next week, we've got a non-training goof around Tequila Tuesday event. We're going to goof around and have a little spelling bee. I've got a partner in crime who has kind of pushed me to do this. This collaborator of mine, Ms. Kelsey Calabro, is all about this goof around spelling bee. So we're just going to have a happy hour, no trading, just a hangout. I don't know what she has in store, but we're going to kind of get out of the way a little bit. I'm going to let her take charge. You want to add anything, Kels?
I was just going to say it only happened because if you know Scott, you know what a bad speller he is. So we're just going to test him and other people. It's going to be fun. But I think we have snacks. We'll see.
We'll see. There's a difference between bad spelling and just not caring, which maybe
I think they go hand in hand, but we can figure that out.
Okay. All right. And then we're going to be off on the 30th. But then April is booked solid. Every single week. We've got a Tequila Tuesday planned. I've got my original and probably only real mentor, Mike Lindstrom. Mike Lindstrom trained with Tony Robbins before Tony Robbins was Tony Robbins. He's going to be teaching us NLP learning techniques. Mike is a super inspirational guy. He was on the podcast not too long ago. That'll be a really interesting training. That's April 6th. On April 13th, I'm going to do my first live call studio. What that means is I'm going to take some of you off mute. We'll let you pitch. I'll deliver feedback. We'll listen to some of your calls, and we'll get into like a live kind of coaching session. April 20th, 420. If you remember last year on 420, my good buddy and fellow partaker, John Barrows, and I held a big webinar on 420 of last year, and we have another event planned on 420 this year. And then finally on April 27th, my friend Tim Clark, who's the founder of Uncrushed and also working for Salesforce and building out Salesforce Revenue Cloud. Tim's going to talk about vulnerability in the workplace and in sales. So April is super full, and we're on from now until the end of April every week except for one. So hope you can join us. Hope you can help spread the word, try to grow this group and this community a little bit. But let's get into what we're here for tonight. I'm gonna tell you a story. A lot of you probably know Nick already. Nick can take himself off mute whenever he wants. But I'm gonna tell this story. This is a month or so ago, maybe now. I get this text message from my friend Christine Rogers. She's like, "Hey, there's this guy Nick. He's gonna be in Austin. He wants to say hello to you, meet you, ask you a couple questions." If you hear that, that's my kids probably killing each other. That was really loud. Something bad definitely just happened. So I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll take an intro to Nick. So turns out Nick is going to be in Austin, and Nick's like, "Hey, I'm trying to meet Scott Ingram and Kevin Dorsey, and would love to meet you." And we all live like within a half-mile radius of each other. So Nick comes out here like right before Snowvid hits Austin. I mean, it's like fucking 20 degrees and like icing rain. It hasn't fully like destroyed the city of Austin yet. And he's like, I'll bring over some barbecue, you know, as like a thank you for chatting. And I'm thinking, you know, he's gonna bring over like, you know, a little plate for me and him. We'll sit outside and chat and whatnot. This dude brings like 4 pounds of meat to my house, like 4 pounds of barbecued dead animal and all the dressings and beer, which I can't drink, God bless him, and all this stuff. So I'm out there talking to him, and my 11-year-old son comes out. He just opens his door, peeks his head out. It's like, hey, can I get that barbecue over there? I'm like, what the? And he grabs the meat and takes it inside. He just stole it. Well, that's how I met Nick. He's one of the few people actually that I've met face to face in the last year. We had a cool chat, and he was telling me his story, and I'm like, man, you got to come on Tequila Tuesday and talk to people about video prospecting and your story and your experience. So that's how I met Nick, and we've gotten along great, and big fan of his. So welcome to the show, Nick. And as always, I'll shut up now a little bit, step to the side. I'll man the chat room. If you've got questions for him, shoot me a private message. I'll make a little, you know, queue up here, and we'll go in order, and we'll bring you off mute. And floor is yours, Nick.
What's going on, guys? How you doing? Oh, you know what? There we go. Okay. What's up? All right. 2 disclaimers right off the bat. One, I live on the side of a mountain in Phoenix, Arizona. My Wi-Fi has been a little in and out. So if it starts going out, let me know, and I will move downstairs. I will squat next to the Wi-Fi. Second thing, I come from a completely different sales background than probably most of you. So I'm going to talk about some stuff. And if you're like, wait a minute, what is he doing? What is he talking about? Call me on it, because this is all brand new to me. I really come from a different place, but I'll give you a little bit of background. So I grew up in Montreal, Canada, and I knew as a kid that I wanted to be the play-by-play voice of the Montreal Expos. Everything I did as a kid was to get into radio. So I moved to Toronto. I got into radio and TV, and I was in it for 5 years. And then one day someone looks at me at a party and says, "You're in radio? Can you do that on a stage?" And I'm like, of course. Next thing I know, I step onto a cruise ship in Miami, and I spent 20 years in the cruise business. I actually lived on cruise ships for a decade, which is a Netflix original series. I just sit on a couch telling you cruise ship stories that blow your mind. And if you guys are good tonight, I might throw you one or two. And what we did was we were live stage presenters. So we were pitching all the duty free. And when you think duty free, you're thinking like Toblerone bars and liquor, which is part of what we were selling, but it was really Swiss watches and high-end jewelry. And people don't realize how big it is. I was selling $500,000 a week by myself on one ship. Worked my way up and eventually ran the company that had the duty free for 8 cruise lines: Disney, Norwegian. If you've cruised on a major cruise line, I've worked on it. So pre-COVID, I actually got out. I was just burnt out. And, you know, it sounds great to say, hey, I'm going to Stockholm tomorrow, but it's like Phoenix to LA to Heathrow to Stockholm. So I got out, and I took a job in Phoenix as a VP of sales for a manufacturing firm. And I hated it because they turned me into a dashboard manager. And I'm like, wait a minute, guys, like I have all this, you know, presenting experience and training. I trained 800 people, and we always use video as well. And a big part of that was we had in-cabin television. And if you've cruised before, you know, you got like 3 stations. It's like CNN, ESPN Deportes, and then the duty-free guys. See, Brian's like, I know. So that's what we did, right? And we would drive via video to these live presentations, 500 people in on the first sea day. And if you've cruised before, the minute you get on a ship, you're like, oh my gosh, the ship's amazing, right? The hardware is crazy. But I'm one of like a dozen revenue departments competing with like the spa and the casino where you really want to drop your money. So I was running around the ship, and I really had to get people to get into this live thing. So TV was really critical to us. So in September, because I got tired of dashboard managing, I told my wife I was quitting my job. She's like, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know yet. So I just started putting these videos on LinkedIn about sales presentations and, you know, using video in sales, and it kind of got traction and took off a little bit. So what I'm going to talk about today a little bit is I use video from a content point of view to drive, you know, track me, and also from a, you know, more granular prospecting point of view But this is, again, where I come back to the disclaimer. I was pure B2C. 5 months ago, I didn't know what an SDR was. I didn't know what a tech stack was. So again, going back to disclaimer. So I'm going to try and sheen here, although I just tested it, Scott. I don't know that it works. So I might be going presentationless. Let's see if we can make it happen. All right, there we go. Can you guys see this?
You got it. Yeah.
Yes, it's my lucky day. So, when we talk about using video, one thing that's really important to note is about 3% of people in sales actually use video in any form. And typically it's in prospecting, but there's a couple different places you can use it. But when people do it, they're wearing their headset, they're sitting, at their desk in their bedroom with the bed unmade. The things that I've seen kind of blows my mind. So one of the key things is when it comes to selling with video is what your setup is. And, it's easy to say, hey, let's just, shoot something and go. But, 2 years ago, it was really cool if someone sent you like a customized message on a whiteboard, like, hey, Scott, how you doing? So you knew it was customized, but like we've seen that, right? So how do you level it up? And one of the things, that I really try and get people to think about is, what is your background? What are people looking at? Like at all your galleries, look at the gallery right now, all your backgrounds. This is probably where you guys take most of your meetings, right? And if you're shooting video from those same backgrounds, is there anything that stands out? So, one of the things that I think is absolutely critical is having a really basic setup, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. And if you do one thing, if you just do one thing when it comes to selling with video, if you actually want to use video, is just light yourself really well. So you can see there in the picture, those are a couple of soft boxes. Those are $35 each. And people are like, oh, I got an O-ring. Not the same effect whatsoever. If you've seen video LinkedIn, it's always on a white wall with those 2 soft boxes and 1 webcam. That's it. Very basic setup. And I was doing it on a shoestring. So I found I sent so much stuff back to Amazon. So a basic light kit like that, $70. And people are like, I don't have room to store it. Okay, well, when you're thinking about prospecting or putting videos together, it takes 90 seconds to put all that up or take it back down. So lighting yourself, really key. And then the next thing, if you're going to spend anything else, is get a really good webcam. And I sent back $300-$400 webcams. I went with this $160 webcam. It color matches, so it makes you look better than you do in real life. And it's fantastic. And it's just $60. Because the thing is, even if it says it's 1080p or 1080p or 4K, all that matters is the lens. That little piece of glass is what's going to define how you actually project on camera. So light yourself, get a good webcam, tripod, you're in for $160. If you want to elevate it a little bit, you could definitely use a mic and a teleprompter, but you don't need that. Neither do you need soundproofing. All it comes down to is really good lighting. And then think about what's behind you. So I have a lot of data on a lot of the videos that I've done. And one thing that I always do in my videos, again, is I'm always wearing a dark monochromatic and it's on a white background. And I convert at about 20% higher in a funnel or something like that when the background is white, because now all the focus is on me. So if you're trying to get someone's attention, you really want to highlight yourself. So what's behind you? So like Scott's background is really cool. Like I see the personalization of it. I see the, Jim Kelly jersey and the Thursday night photo with him and Amy. But the thing is, the reality is it's a distraction, right? So if you have a super simple background, well lit, it's going to look like you're in a soundstage. So one thing to consider. A couple of other tips is I never use a headset because you get that echo sound in it, or you look like a gamer, neither of which is an instrument. And the thing that people always miss is they're not smiling. So people buy from people, they want to get engagement. You want to create engagement, you got to smile to do that, which is a really easy thing to do, especially if you're working on 35 to 45-second videos. And we'll get into scripting a little bit, but that's kind of your basic setup. So that's kind of the ABC of that. All right, we'll go on the next slide. Okay.
Hey, Nick.
2 different ways that you can use video.
Nick,
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Real
Yep.
quick. There's a couple people who asked about like products, like what product would you use for this? What product would you use for that? I don't know if you don't need to go into that right now. I'm gonna send you a note later on. Maybe we can share that with the group later. But if you have it rattled off easily, go for
You
it.
know what I'll do? As soon as I'm done with the PowerPoint and we're going through questions, I'll drop the links from Amazon into the chat, make it even easier for you guys.
Cool.
So there's two distinct ways that you can really use video for, prospecting. One is in developing content, and the other is kind of pure, EDR level prospecting. So when it comes to creating content, if you've seen like what Ryan Scalera did a couple weeks ago with that gravy video, which went crazy, or Oliver Squires, who does these really clever videos where it's, him interspliced with a movie. The thing is that these take some time, and I can't do what Ryan Scalera does, right? I mean, he's really talented. He can sing, he can, edit, he can put music together. But when he did that gravy video, the next slide is going to show you kind of what the response was from the CEO of Gravy. But the point is that Ryan now doesn't have to do any prospecting. If he wants to hit a specific company, he will go and create a customized video and target it to the company. And the same thing with Oliver. Oliver and I were talking last week. He goes, man, I was prospecting, like 30, 40% of my time before. Now I don't prospect. Now they're coming to me via the videos. So it's one thing to consider. If you haven't used content before for video, it's not hard to come up with some clever stuff. These are examples of two guys who do a really great job. But then on the right here, you can see my friend Hannah, who does exceptional quality video, and she does it on a very basic background, but the content's really good. And she also does a lot of prospecting via video, which is another way to do it. So, either you can be a thought leader via content to drive people to you, or you can actually go out and do prospecting via video in a couple different ways. And we'll kind of get to that here in a second. This is the first time I've used like Google Slides, so threw something together for you guys today. So this was what was sent to, or this was Casey's response. So Casey's the CEO of Gravy. And when Ryan did that Gravy video, Ryan went out and got him a meeting with the entire team, right? At Gravy. Kelsey, were you in that meeting?
Yeah, I was. It was wild.
Okay. But that's the point, right? If you want something targeted, right? I brought barbecue to Scott Leese. This is exactly what Ryan did with the customized video directed specifically at Gravy. And when I, the circles kind of we swim in like Thursday Night Sales and Rev Genius and all that, I assumed that Casey knew who Ryan was. But then as you got through the comments of the video, you're like, oh my, he had no idea what was going on. And, Kelsey and Tara were like, oh my gosh, it's Ryan. We know Ryan. But the point was Casey didn't. And this got the meeting. And if you guys started using Dooley, Kelsey, do you know what the actual after effect of that was? I'm curious because I haven't talked to Ryan about it yet.
We haven't started using it, but I know that they're like looking at that in one of their solution, but I think they have another meeting set up soon.
All right.
So
Not to talk out of school, but it was one of the things I wanted to kind of quiz Ryan on was, hey, how did that actually work? All right. So when it comes from a content point of view, and I use Shield, which is a group tool to kind of track all my metrics. So everything done, I've only posted like 20 something videos since October 15th. And here come some of the things I've learned as a takeaway when it comes to content. 45 seconds to 3 minutes is an ideal sweet spot for creating content. But no matter if it's a 45-second video or a 3-minute video, I get 50% of it watched. So if it's 3 minutes, people are watching an average of 90 seconds. If it's 45 seconds, they're watching an average of half of that. It's different for prospecting. We'll get to that, but just to give you as an idea. Now, if you look down at the bottom, the video or the screen cap that says talking tempo, that was one of the first videos I did. And I didn't yet understand, how to hook people and how to get people in. So a couple of things that are really key is having something that was really going to catch their attention. So the video I put out today said, stop saying this. Well, where does that go? I don't, what am I going to, where's that going, Nick? I don't know. So I kind of have to click that video now. And the same thing with the, dramatic thumbnail. People are going to stop and in the mid scroll and be like, oh, what's going on here? I got to see what's happening. Whereas on the right, I was just, using a basic thumbnail and a basic hook. So the bigger the hook, the catchier the thumbnail, the more likely you're going to get people to literally stop. Because I'm asking you, if you're going through your LinkedIn, to pause for a couple of minutes to listen to what I'm talking about, right? Using humor is great. The funnier the videos get, the longer the engagement gets. But I also am not trying to be a comedian about it. It's just having a little bit of maybe humor in there that makes it a little bit more interesting. And one of the things that I thought that really caught me off guard as I started doing this was, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is key. I have lived off this. This has paid my mortgage for 5 years. And I put it out there and it kind of fizzles and people don't run with it. And then sometimes I never mail it in, but let's just say I mail it in and people are like, wow, this is amazing. Where's this been? So you never know what's going to resonate. So one of the things I started doing was I did a couple of videos where I asked the audience, what do you want? Where, you've seen some of my videos, you have an understanding a bit of my background. Where can I bring value to you? What would you like to see? And that kind of helped give me some direction. And actually I should, make this point right now. I only post videos. I don't post any text posts whatsoever, which there's so many reasons that that's not a good idea, but that's part of what I'm trying to do with my brand is that if you see me, it's going to be in a video context, right? And then, I have a ratio of 4-to-1 when it comes to creating content for engagement. So if I spend an hour a week creating video content, I'm going to spend 4 hours actually engaging on other people's content. Because especially if you're going to start creating content at the beginning, that's where you're going to get traction is by getting involved in other people's content and ergo them kind of falling back and folding into yours. One of the key things sorry, you say something, Scott?
Well, you kind of paused for a second and I was going to try to bring in Jennifer Garrett, who had a question before we get too far away from the topic. Yeah. You there, Jennifer?
Let's go.
Hey there, Nick. So my question is, it's directly pertaining to prospecting and the strategy and a tactic for doing a pre-meeting drip for an intro call and what your thoughts are on that, just from, keep it short and sweet. Like, is it looking forward to meeting this week and then sharing content before a meeting? Like, what's been your experience?
Pre-meeting is just, hey, Jennifer, I'm so excited to meet you. I can't wait. If there's anything I can do in advance or anything you'd like me to bring or prepare for or any questions you might have, that'd be fantastic. But otherwise, I'll see you Tuesday at 3:00. Okay. You just want them to remember you and kind of hold on to that. And, what's really interesting is that, and this kind of caught me off guard as well at the beginning, if you're always using the same background for your meetings and for any content or any videos you're creating whatsoever, when people actually get into that meeting with you, they'll do a double take and be like, oh, wow, it's you. It's where you usually are, right? Which was something that I found got me a lot of traction, and it changes the dynamic of the conversation. So if pre-meeting, short and sweet. I don't want to try and distract them with, hey, here's something I really think would bring value to you. If I got the meeting, it's a pleasure. So happy. I can't wait. Yay. That's where I'm headed with it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Two things when it comes to creating content. And this is, when I go on podcasts or people, are picking my brain that are really important. And this comes from being a radio guy, then scripting all these products. So, part of what we did was every season we'd have like 60 new products and be like, hey, Nick, you're the radio guy, go write all the scripts for it. So one thing that people don't really think about is when you're writing something that's going to be spoken, write it to be spoken, right? Which seems like such a thing, but that nuance makes a big difference. And that leads into the next thing of dictating your content. This is a great way to figure out how to write it to be spoken. So when people say, hey, Nick, I'd love to start doing content, but I don't really know where to start, right? Well, if I was going to ask Scott about surfing, I know nothing about surfing. Literally nothing other than I probably don't have the core strength to get up on the board. That's it. That's all I know.
False.
Okay, fair enough. But if I said, Scott, I'm going to shut up for 30 minutes. I just want you to talk about surfing. Just go. You're passionate about it. You love it, right? Just talk. Open up a Word document, click dictate, and just talk for 30 minutes. If you talk for 30 minutes, you're going to get 8 pages of single space copy. It's about 40 paragraphs. Basically, you're getting 40 thoughts. Ergo, you got 40 unique posts. Does that make sense? Oh, I forgot you guys were all on mute. Okay, I'm gonna assume that that's a big yes from everybody.
They're not in their head.
You know,
Their
people are like,
thumbs
I
up.
don't know.
They're ready.
Okay, cool. So, you know, people get stuck. They open up a Word document and they're ready to start typing and they don't know where to go with it. Just talk about what you know. And if you want to practice on something else, you know, John Stern and I, we could just have a conversation about NHL 94 on Sega, right? If we dictated that, there'd be like a whole series of conversations that can be turned into content. So that's one of the best hacks if you really want to get into kind of creating your own content. And then a lot of people, when they're putting content out, and this ratio kind of gets personal. I try to keep it really business. I do throw in some personal stuff. And sometimes what I'll do, I've done this a couple times and I'll start it with warning, there's zero sales marketing value in this video, just a funny story about my time on the cruise ship. And I get the same amount of likes, same amount of content, comments, same amount of views as when I'm giving something that actually has, you know, sales or presentation value. And I find that really interesting. And I know it's a unique thing, right? I mean, cruising is interesting, but you know, again, you know, Kelsey could talk about her background in art, right? Something completely different, or how does that tie into what she does every day? And what it does is it makes you more real, right, to people. But you know, in general, talking about business, mixing in some personal, and then mixing in your struggle. And this is something that I haven't really done, just because when I'm creating content, I always want to give something that I feel people can get their teeth in. That's something I have to get over. But when I go through the Shield data and I talk to people about their metrics who spend a lot of time doing this, when you talk about the struggle, that really pulls people in, right? That's content that they're really going to take and run with. All this, I'm sure, is also applicable to text-based posts. I'm just telling you about my 5-month journey here through the video end of it.
Nick, let's pause here for a second. We've got a couple questions I'd love to get to. Brian Barron, can you take yourself off mute? Can't hear you. No, I can see you off mute. I cannot. Now we got you. Put those AirPods away.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, but you're like whisper.
Yeah, there you go, Brian.
Sorry about that, guys. Just curious, you talked about humor a few times, and Nick, you seem like a very funny person, but what if you're not funny? What if you're not a funny person? You have a different personality. Like, should you still try to?
That was funny right there, Brian. That was funny.
It was.
I mean, do you like, when you're doing videos, do you try to put in humor even if that's not part of your personality, or do you kind of lean into the things that your personality lends to?
You need to lean into what you're most comfortable with. What you're most comfortable with is give you the best result. That being said, everyone's got some level of humor in them, right? And you know, I by accident, because a guy I worked for owned the company, I wound up on stage at a comedy club a couple times. I never thought I was funny before. Not that I think I'm funny now, but I really didn't think I was funny before. And just having those, you know, few nights where they were just desperate for a host. You know, I was in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, which is just across the water from Seattle. And like in the crowd was a bunch of people from Starbucks. They were all wearing like blazers that had coffee cups all over them. I'm like, if that's not material to run with, I know. But yeah, you definitely want to lean into what you know and what you're comfortable with, because if you're not comfortable, you're not going to be engaging. And all that matters in any of this is your engagement, and whatever level of comfort you have is key. And that was one thing that, you know, I would talk to people about who, like I said, I trained like 800 people to be these live stage presenters. And, you know, I had introverts and I had extroverts and I had everything in between. But the reality was that everyone had to kind of find their own voice. But one of the things they needed to do, and I'll get into this in a little bit, I'm trying to get through this presentation a little bit quicker, was talk from a place of knowledge. So I did a video a couple of weeks ago on scripting, and people ask me all the time, Nick, what's your take on sales scripts? And I always say, you need, try not to swear here, you need a sales script. You absolutely need I thought this was a family event, Scott.
What are you talking about? Just because John Stern brings his kid in the view every now and then doesn't make it a family event. He's been warned.
Got it. You need a fucking script. You need to know it up, down, left, right, like you know your national anthem. Because when you know the script so perfectly that it's ingrained in you, then you don't need it. just talking from a place of knowledge, and then you are so authentic and real, right? So I'll give you an example, Brian. When I go to Best Buy and I'm buying a television, you know, I want the guy who knows the most about the television. And the reality is he's going to be an introvert, or she's going to be an introvert. Generally, I'm painting with a broad brush, but they know it. They're so technically detailed. I'm not buying from anybody else. I'm buying from that person who knows the stuff, right? So just positioning yourself as the thought leader on whatever random little thing you're a thought leader about. But just to kind of wrap up this point about the content, someone told me this the first week. I was like, I think I'm gonna put out a video. They're like, Nick, I promise you, have actionable insight in what you do. So in every video I do, I try and say, or I try and give something that you can take and run with tomorrow, or why I do it and why I think you should do it. Not just, oh, here's theory about why this would be great. No, how do I get on the surfboard? How do I stand up? And how do I hold that position for 3 seconds? Take me through those 3 steps, Nick, right? Actual insight is key.
Nick,
all right.
Couple more questions. I know you want to get to your presentation, but nothing goes as planned on Tequila Tuesday.
That's why I love it. I'm just so happy to be here with all of you.
Yeah, we're all happy to have you here as well. Jacqueline has a important question for you.
Okay, I'm excited.
There she is.
Oh, I appreciate that. Important. Nice. Never get that.
Hey,
Nick,
Miss Fiddler, how you doing?
fan of you, fan of Norwegian. It's the only cruise line out of the 13 years that I've been cruising that my parents decide to go on every year. And fan of video mail. I use it on everything. Interviews, thank you emails, follow-ups. My face is really why. But in either case, 2-part question for you. One, I saw your fancy setup, but for us over here that doesn't have the fancy setup, are there any sort of vendors that you prefer? Like I use Loom, which I absolutely love, but I wasn't sure if there are other ones out there that you like. And then
I use Loom.
You use Loom? It's the best.
Yeah, if I don't, and I'm going to get to this right now, and this part I'll go through a little bit quicker. If I can't do it native in the app, always the ideal situation. I'm using Loom or Vidyard or BombBomb. They're all great. They all have, slightly different variations on what is anyone here from Vidyard or BombBomb? They're the best. But no, I use Loom. And actually, I'm going to show you right now, take you through this process of how I use Loom. But the point, Jacqueline, real setup, get a tripod, get the lights, get the camera, $160. I'm going to drop the links in when this is over. And that will change everything. And I'm looking right now, you're in your kitchen, you got a wall in that hallway. That's all you need. You just need something basic behind you, right?
I prop mine up in front of my window so I can take advantage of that ambient light and it fills my room. But my other question for you is, and this is the real heavy hitter for me, and this is where I get into a time suck when it comes to making videos.
Okay.
I get so caught up on my crazy expressions on my face and controlling them. It's like from Anchorman when he's doing like Panda Watch, like, when he cuts that clip and it's like so inauthentic. And then I have good intentions of making a video mail, but then I spend an hour and a half, like verbatim every time, making that same 60-second clip because of my crazy face or expression. So I just want to know if you have any tips and tricks for how to get over yourself and not spend more time on this creating this video than it takes to even like get it out. Like you have any.
I'm gonna let me close this for 1 second and I will come back. How do I not share screen anymore? See, this is why you shouldn't let me touch stuff.
Are you joking? These people are all very familiar with my lack of technological skill. You're doing just fine. I've prepped them.
Okay. So a quick cruise ship story interlude here. So this was the first time I was ever on a cruise ship, and it was the Nordic Empress. It was a Norwegian ship. It's 2000, and it was a 3 and 4 day. And this is going to come to your question, Jacqueline, I promise. So it's a 3 or 4 day cruise out of San Juan. So the 4 day, the Monday to Thursday was like junkets from the mainland, right? Like corporate, hey, 4 day team building. The 3 day was all local Puerto Ricans. And they were actually amazing. It was one of the best contracts I ever had on a ship because they were so much fun. But I didn't speak Spanish. I spoke French because I grew up in Montreal, but I didn't speak a word of Spanish. So it's my first day on my first ship. And I go to the cruise director. I still remember his name. I'm like, hey, Dan, so I got a board show tonight to let everyone know what I'm doing. Like, you can't go. He said, what do you mean? I have to. It's in my contract. The office is like, we need to see the video. You got to FedEx it from San Juan on Monday. It has to happen or you're getting pulled off the ship. He goes, do you speak Spanish? I said, no. He goes, well, speak English, so you can't get on that stage. I'm like, you kidding me? He goes, well, learn Spanish. So I said, okay. So I went to the front desk to one of the pursers, the guest relations, and she was from Chile in South America. And I said, okay, this is going to sound crazy. I'm going to script something. It's like 90 seconds. Can you write this phonetically in Spanish for me? And I'm going to try and memorize it. She goes, what? Anyway, she did. So I spent 4 hours in my tiny little cabin. I mean, I'm like, you know, a dirt devil spinning around in this cabin trying to memorize 90 seconds in a foreign language over 4 hours. So I'm like, okay, I'm sweating, I'm nervous, but I'm like, I got to do this, right? Step and the ledge will appear. I go backstage. I'm like, okay, Dan, I'm ready. He goes, oh, did you learn Spanish? So I bust out and he goes, you got fucking balls. He goes, okay, go. So I go out on stage and all I can see is the two spot. I can't see it. There's 1,200 people in the theater. I can't see any of them. All I see is two spotlights on me. It's all I see. And I'm shaking. And I'll never forget my right arm. It felt like I'm like, everyone must see this. I was petrified. But because I had it so memorized, talk from a place of knowledge, up, down, left, right, like a script. Lo siento por muy poco español, pero estoy aprendiendo. Soy canadiense. I couldn't get through it because I had a standing ovation. They didn't even let me stop because they were hooting and hollering because I died. The point was I was terrified, right? Anyway, I get off stage and Dan is like, what did you say? Write that down for me. The point is I learned very quickly that when I'm on stage, Jacqueline, back to your questions. I'll tie one more quick story in. When I was in radio school, Humber College in Toronto, first day of radio, if you want to sound like you have 100% energy coming through the radio, you got to put 150% into the microphone. Okay. So the same thing with the stage. As soon as I realized that I controlled the stage and I would literally physically lean in, or I would use my hands, or I would have all these things, what it pulled me in. Something I can't teach is I have 20,000 hours of reading body language from 500 people. So all of these facial expressions and all of this movement and how you flow, even through this tiny box, Jacqueline, pulls people in. That's where that story was going. So people who put a video up and it's like edit, I won't even watch it because it's not authentic and it's not genuine. I don't know how long they kind of, but if you just talk to me, Jacqueline, you're going to be authentic, you're going to be genuine, you're going to be engaging. Facial expressions, pulling people in, that's good stuff. That's the stuff that takes you from being okay at this to getting really good. And that was one thing that I really used to force my people to do was get out. I would not let them stand behind the podium on the stage. And this was a big, like the dancers would have the whole, theatrical theater on, like Disney shows. I'm like, you get out from there, you got to know your script, and I need you moving around. You own the stage, you own the meeting, you own the video, right? That was a very long answer to your question.
Thoughtful. I appreciate it. It's good to see you again. Thank you.
Good to see you. Any more
Nick.
questions right now, Scott?
Oh yeah, I got a couple lined up. Kelsey's got the next question.
Okay.
Hey. Okay, so my question mostly around, are you adding in additional text in your emails when you send? Like, I know you send a lot of videos post-proposal. So what I've heard from prospects is that they usually want additional text and they don't want to have to watch the video again to get that information. So are you sending it in an email or you're just doing video?
So I actually have this in one of the slides. This is the magic words. This is what over 5 months, all the data has shown me. I'll say, hey, Scott, I'm reaching about X. I have a personal video for you. This is not generic or automated. It's a true hello. That's it. That's all I put.
Because I'll usually.
And that, now you want to pull on some guilt strings. People are like, oh man, wow, what do I say to that? right? Be more. When I was in the cruise business, you know, it was actually high pressure. It was like big numbers we were doing. And they would always tell me, these guys out of Miami that I worked with, be more American, Nick, be more American. So, but I'm still a Canadian. And the more Canadian I am in these engagements, the more uber polite and just super friendly, the more people want to engage, right? So that one line is really critical. This isn't automated or generic. It's a true hello. That's it.
Gotcha.
Who's next, Scott?
Chris Bowen. Ready to go, Chris.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, had to take
What's
myself
up,
off.
Louisville?
What's going on? Hey, so I had a question of when you're looking at now, how do you judge whether a video is successful or not? Like, what metrics do you use? And then what were those metrics 4 months ago?
Great, I love it.
Good question.
So again, this goes back to my disclaimer about tech stack. I'm not emailing anything out. Everything I do is via LinkedIn because I haven't had to do a lot of prospecting because everything's come inbound because of the videos. So today the metric is how many people are coming to my LinkedIn profile. That's all that matters, right? Because if they've come to my profile, I can then connect with them. I have an excuse to connect. I don't automate connect. I did for a while and I'm like, that was really dumb. I actually wish I hadn't done that for me. So it's how many people, that's the metric I track, is how many people come to my profile, because those are people who are curious enough to come to my personal landing page, essentially. At the beginning, it was likes and comments, but I realized quickly that became a vanity metric for me.
Yep.
But there's a ratio that I use, and this is, you know, if anyone knows Scott Ingram's LinkedIn Sales Superstars list, it's basically likes plus comments over your last 10 divided by your followers. So that was something I was trying to, you know, get as much traction in that area as possible. But other than that, of people coming to my actual page, I'm looking at the views of my video, because a view on LinkedIn of a video is different than a text. If I slide through and Brian's post is there and I keep sliding, he still gets the credit of that. The credit for a video view is click of play for a minimum of 3 seconds. So I had like 3,400 followers that email or message today or posted that I was going to be on this. Now I have like 3,600. Thanks, buddy. I'm messing up my metrics, but I'm always aiming for like 2,500 views. To me is a successful video. The amount they watch never changes. That's what's really interesting, right? So there's like a tribe of will sit down and watch my entire video, no matter what it's about. Then there's some they'll give me a chance, but it still winds up being that about 50% of the length of the video is what I'm going to get.
And how did that
for you, buddy?
And how did that change after? So like that's what you look at now. When you were 1 month into that, what was
used to profile? It was comments.
Okay.
It was only likes and comments.
Okay, so you had to change the metric because you found out what was working better, right?
Well, it was for me more philosophical of, okay, I'm trying to be a consultant online, right? What really matters? How am I starting conversations? Because comments in a conversation, or comments is not really a conversation. If you though come to my profile, at least in my mind, or what's been effective for me. So Chris looked at my profile or just connected with me without kind of, hey, Chris, I'll do a voice note or I'll do a quick video if I have time. At minimum, I'll do, Chris, really appreciate you connecting. Pleasure to virtually meet you. If I can ever be helpful, let me know. That's when the real dialogue starts. That's when contracts and clients and accounts that I've got have developed off of people coming to my profile.
Interesting. There's a whole other conversation that we could have there, Nick, because I'm the exact opposite.
Interesting.
I never look at who viewed my profile, which is probably a missed opportunity for me, just to be clear. But, when you reach a certain scale,
yep,
it's untenable for me to try to look through who viewed my profile.
Right? But that's because it's got lease, right? But that's exactly.
But that's the point. That's the point, though. Like everybody is at different stages in their career or their business and trying to go it. So I think it's really important and valuable for somebody like you who's going out on their own now for the first time.
Yeah.
To talk about like what's working and why it's working. it's interesting for me to hear because I don't do that at all. And so I hear two things. I hear, well, you can obviously do it without doing that. But I also hear, well, fuck, that's a missed opportunity for me. And it makes me think maybe I should try to find a way to, solve for that. So I'll be curious to talk to you over the coming months, and years if like that evolves for you and changes a little bit,
Yeah, and everything I'm talking about is what works today. I reserve the right to change my opinion on any of this tomorrow, but I remember some of these conversations. So Nikki Ivy's here. Hey, Nikki, how you doing? Nikki and we've actually had a conversation, but I remember the first time she reached out to connect, first thing I did was I looked at her profile. I saw she went to the University of Nebraska, Omaha. I'm remembering this off the top of my head. I'm like, my cousin played hockey at UNO. I went to a bunch of games there. So I was trying to start a conversation about Omaha. She quickly shot it down because there's not a lot to talk about Omaha. But the point was, those are the things that, I'm looking for. Damn, I'm not.
Yeah, it ends up being Warren Buffett, the College World Series, and
Nikki Ivy.
That's it. And Nikki Ivy. That's it. Yeah, that's all there is. Alex Mead. Is Alex here still? Alex has got a question. I'm rolling with questions, Nick. Alex, are you here? I don't know where Alex went. Going once, going twice. Okay, Zach Selch. Can you get yourself off mute, Zach?
I am off mute. Thanks a lot.
There he is.
So you sort of answered my question because you said you don't email the clips. But what I was looking for was what delivery mechanism you use, because I just have this feeling that when you send somebody either a link or a file, it looks suspicious. So I'm not quite sure what I would do about emailing. But you said you don't email them, so I'm not sure you can answer the question.
No, I can, Zach, because I do know this. So I use Loom because what I love about Loom is it'll populate the thumbnail. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if I send an email or if I'm connected, let's say to Chris Bowen, and I send Chris a video message, it's going to pop up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a thumbnail that says, hi, Chris, right? So that's going to be the thumbnail. So Chris knows that it's directly for him, and it'll populate it. So it's not a random link. The only time you're going to get a random link is if you're doing it via an InMail or a connect request. If I Loom link or a Vidyard or BombBomb into a connect request to Hayden or to John or to Jacqueline, it's not going to populate. So that again is where the verbiage comes in. That's really key. This isn't automated or generic. This is a true hello. The open rate I get on that is very high.
Cool. Thanks. And
Johnny, Zach, you got a follow-up?
No, I was just going to say, what do you think of my background, Nick?
Evaluate my background.
Sorry?
No, I do this. It's like a game show. I do this, evaluate my background. So here's what I'll tell you, Zach. First of all, you have a very distinct look. If you set yourself up against the backdrop of the fireplace, that would be great. Just with the light color of your hair and beard, that would really pop against the red brick. Or you've got an interesting story. It looks like you have some African artifacts there. Maybe from some travels or something. That could be something really interesting you could tie into the story. So those, right, just looking at you, at the angle you're at, it just looks like your living room. But could you stage it, again, spend 2 minutes setting up and tearing down, right?
Well, okay. I didn't mean to get into this conversation, but everything behind me is artificial. It's soundproof cloth hanging from frames. And my business is international sales. So I have stuff from 5 continents hanging on the wall behind me. So it was sort of, everything was staged very carefully. But the question is, it could be staged and suck too, right? So that was sort of where I was going was, is it staged and work or is it staged and not work? So
I never use a green screen unless the
client absolutely. This isn't a green screen. This is everything's actual physical. It looks like a soundstage. If I took the camera 2 feet over, you'd see that everything their blankets hanging from frames, and then stuff hanging from the blankets, right?
Interesting. That's the first time I've seen a setup like that's another conversation, Zach.
Well, it was, yeah.
All right, we got Johnny. Johnny, take yourself off mute.
Hey, Nick. Hey,
What's up,
real
Johnny?
quick. Thanks, man. Enterprise sales, I'm trying to really get a better understanding of when to engage with this prospecting campaign strategy. So
Okay.
it sounds like a part of it is initiating the conversation via social media with links in video with a targeted group. Now, I think this goes back to Kelsey's question too. What else would you include with that content, that 30-second campaign? And is there links that you're going to be including in that campaign? Like a lot of this stuff, enterprise sales is pretty complex. They want more content. Would you include that?
Absolutely. So it depends. Enterprise is a whole other kettle of fish, right? Because that's going to, again, there's lots of links, lots of info. No problem with that. As long as I'm not going into, to Kelsey's point earlier about how deep about, do I need to watch the video if I just kind of told you everything, right? I want them to watch me. That changes the dynamic of every single conversation we're going to have going forward. So yeah, I have no problem including, links and stuff. Although what I try to do in my own personal sales cycle, I had someone today reach out to me. So first I'm just trying to get a meeting on the calendar before I'm throwing in a demo reel or, hey, you should look at what I did for this client. They're already intrigued or they want to have a conversation. So first, let me just get on their calendar.
So the goal is build yourself as a subject matter expert in your brand via video.
So that's one. So let me do this. Let me go out, and I promise 3 minutes. Let me go through the rest of it because this is now where the prospecting and how I use it throughout the funnel comes in. So I apologize. I didn't think this would take this long. I don't.
That's good, man. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, here we go. Hold on. I'll go through this part super quick. So this is just an example, and this can be applied to any whatever you have in your stack. But this is what I did through Sales Navigator, and this is a way to really amplify it and kind of expedite it. So what I did was I went through and I looked up every Mike or Michael who was in a management position in marketing in the United States. There was 12,000, 1,500 posts in the last 30 days. And then I went through and I was looking for who had a premium account. Therefore, I didn't have to be connected to send a message and I didn't have to spend $2 on an email. Okay, step one. Step two, I took a list. So I took 162, and this is ugly. I'm embarrassed to show you guys this, but I did this campaign yesterday, 24 hours before this meeting, to have some data to show you what's possible in 24 hours. This whole project took me 1 hour. Okay. So first of all, and again, I'm embarrassed, but Michael, the subject matter was quick question about your webinar. I don't know if he has a webinar. I'm fishing. Now I'm fishing. And this is a personalized video. Can you spare 35 seconds? Here's the Loom link. It's because it's an in-mail, even though it's a free one, it doesn't have that. So this was, I'm embarrassed. Don't hold this against me. But then what I did one, I realized there's a big difference between Mike and Michael. I don't want to mess it up. So I did 2 videos on Loom. And it was the same thing, quick question, Mike, or quick question, Michael. And it was me on Loom. That's the setup. That's the $160 setup that you see right there. 36 seconds of here's what I do. Would love to chat to you about it if this is interesting at all. It wasn't hook, story, call to action. This was rough. But again, under the timeline. This is to show you guys, this is what I had within hours. All these Mikes and Michaels. This is not cherry picked. This is who came to my profile. These were some of the acceptance. Nick, just have to say brilliant marketing. Love the video, what you did here. I don't have anything right now, but stay in touch. This guy at the bottom, I have his email address. Let's chat. Budget's tight, but let's chat. This one, we tried something like this, didn't really work. Opens up the door to say, hey, here's why it didn't work. You want to have a quick chat on what could work? And it got to, so after 18 hours, I sent out 168 messages. I had 20 profile views from Mike's or Michael's, 21 video views, which I tracked via LinkedIn or via Loom. And again, because it was Mike's or Michael's, it was, I could send it out to 12,000 Mike's and Michael's. 2, not interested. 3, let's talk later. 1, let's talk now. If I do it native in the app, so it's like, hey, Vlad, how you doing? Nick here, recording it literally into LinkedIn. I get about a 40% response rate. If I blast it like this, I get about a 15% response rate. When it comes to prospecting, and Johnny, to your question, I'm going to kind of go through some other things in the funnel here. When I do a prospecting video, 20 to 35 seconds max. Hook, quick story, quick call to action. Native in the app if possible. But here's other ways. We think of it from prospecting. 3% of people in sales use video at all, and almost all of them do it in prospecting. Where they're not doing it, this is the big one, proposal recaps. So let's say Vlad is my champion, okay, on the other side. I'm gonna, Vlad and I are trying to work through this big enterprise deal together. Hey, Vlad, I just want to go through the proposal with you, buddy. And what I'm gonna do is I want to get Vlad's words, right, from his side to input into my proposal. And when I recap it, 45 to 60 seconds, 4 to 5 bullet points max, right? So this way, what I've done is I've taken Vlad's own words from his company, I've recapped my proposal, but because I've done it on Loom, I can track. And the last one I sent out to one person, to a Vlad, got 40 views inside that office. So the other stakeholders and influencers weren't in my demo, weren't throughout the entire funnel, but now they saw the proposal and they saw me, and they saw me using it in Vlad's own words. I cannot tell you how effective that is. Thank yous, happy birthday, referral request. Hey, Chris, man, I had such a great time working with you, buddy. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to say hi. I hope everything's going great. If there's any issues, let me know. And listen, if you can think of anyone that maybe could use my services, love to help out, right? Personalized. One of the things too, Jay Bay, if you guys know Jason Bay, he had OE from Bomb on. And one of the things that she did, and I've been using this a lot, is, hey, Zach, you didn't get back to my email yet. Instead of saying that, I'm just doing a 1-second video, me pointing up to the last email in the thread. I get ha, 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 ha. Let's talk Tuesday back. Quick recap here, guys. And this is presentation hacks. Talk from a place of knowledge. Use tempo, pace, and pausing. If you go through my videos, guys, there's like 30 posts in the last 5 months, 6 or 7 reshares. There's only 22 videos. They're 1 minute to 3 minutes each. Tempo, pace, when to pause. Always speak to the camera, speak to the lens. Use bullet points, not a script. Practice in front of the mirror. Use positive language. I was in a demo the other day. They're like, I know this sounds like a scam. Fuck. Eliminate your crutch words and watch your tape. Here's what I will tell you. No one goes back and watches their demos. No one watches their presentations. The best salespeople I had on cruise ships, because they're off the coast of Japan and I'm in Fort Lauderdale and I'm trying to make sure that they understand what's going on. Waiting for that tape to come back, VHS from Japan, okay, or the DVD or the USB. We can't upload and download from a ship, these 60-minute tapes. The ones who watch their own tape, you want to get better fast, just watch your tape. 5 times. It sucks. You don't like it, do it. Shut up and do it because it's effective.
Always horrible. Even when you do a good one, don't you watch back a good one and just like criticize the hell out of yourself?
But you get better at it, Scott, because what you're doing is you reward yourself. You give yourself a little shot of dopamine every time you're like, I took out that crutch word. Okay, pat on the back, right? Real quick too, and this is like super duper bonus. This is like the gravy of gravy. Before I get on a call with anybody, I spend 2 or 3 minutes looking through their LinkedIn profile. Okay, where they from, where they go to school, professional accreditations. There is so much here that we gloss over. Now, I'm not going to open up a prospect email, but the first time coming from B2C, and I sat in on my first B2B demo, and they're like, "Hi, everyone," straight to the agenda. I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't expect you to go in, and I don't expect to change B2B and become a rapport building industry here, okay? However, I sat in on a demo a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 minutes of dead air. There was 8 people on their side. Cameras on, sitting there, second screen on, right? Any opportunity to tie that binds. And the reason that Christine Rogers from Aspireship, her picture's here, is because the first time I was introduced in December to Christine from a friend of mine who lives here in Phoenix. He's like, you got to meet Christine. And I met Scott and KD and Thursday Night Sales all off Christine. But Christine, because I was recommended by Matt Adams, happy to meet me. We had a great conversation. But in the first 30, 60 seconds, I said, hey, in mutual connections, because everyone assumes it's industry people. I said, Christine, I see you connected to Dale Morris. Do you actually know Dale? She's like, oh my God, I worked with him for 5 years at Infusionsoft. He's amazing. I really like Dale. You're fucking kidding me. That's my brother-in-law. You want social proof? She thinks my brother-in-law is the greatest guy ever. The conversation that Christine and I had went from, oh, it's great to meet you, to, oh my God, just like that. So just, preparing yourself and understanding, what's going on, taking a couple seconds. I can't get out of this goddamn thing again. Son of a bitch.
I just love watching other people struggle with tech too. Brings me joy.
So using it throughout the funnel, guys, I can't tell you what a big one proposals is. And when I talk to people who are using video and they're using, BombBomb or Vidyard, they're using it in prospecting. Using it in that proposal is huge, because that's where you get the chance to go viral within someone's office, right? Huge, guys, huge.
Nick, I got a couple questions. Can I sneak a couple in?
I'm ready. I'm done with the presentation. I just wanted to get that out. I put like 6 hours into it. Me putting presentations together is ugly. I can play hockey, shoot a hockey puck, but man, I can't put presentations together.
Okay, we all are very limited in our skill sets. I think people know this about us. David Fox, you here? David Fox had a question a while back.
You literally caught me in mid sip, so thank you, Scott. I was just about to. I was just curious. Earlier we talked about enterprise. Johnny B had mentioned enterprise. I'm just, from a segmentation perspective, is there any best practices, differences? SMB, mid market, enterprise, etc. Do you do anything different?
So here's what I'm going to tell you, and all cards on the table. Full disclosure: I just don't have a lot of experience with enterprise, right? Most of where I do my stuff is SMB. And the reality is that these kind of techniques are very effective here. So I was on 30 Minute the President Club podcast with Nick and Armand the other day. I don't know if you guys have heard them, but that's actually one of the best podcasts out there. And prepping for it, I was listening to Todd Capozzi, who's brilliant. I love Todd. And Todd was saying in one of his things in this podcast, he goes, man, when I was a CRO, people were sending me, he goes, okay, I'd have 150 emails to go through, and I could sit down and chew through them and get it done. He goes, but then I got 20 of them in there that are 3-minute videos. You think I'm watching those? And I'm like, oh man, I feel at first like people be like, man, you're in video, Nick. That's not something you want to hear. And I'm like, no, I want a CRO saying I'm not paying attention to a 3-minute video, because I want you sending a 20-second video and letting them know it's 20 seconds, right? Here's the one thing. And the problem we have as salespeople in general is that one time I closed Hayden, I said this, so I got to make sure I say this. And the one time I closed, Cynthia, I said this. And Jill, man, I said this to Jill, and Jill bought for me, so I got to say this. Distill down your messaging, and you get this from watching your tape. And if you can't record, come as a fintech, so we can't record the meetings that we're in. But what I do is I'll open up a Word document on my end, then I'll click dictate, and I'll let it populate. And then we can go back as a team and say, okay, at this point, JJ, you said this. And at this point, Patricia, you said this. Let's try and do this next time instead of that, right?
Cool.
Now, if you want, here's something I'll tell you. Hold on, let me grab, do I have it here? Here's a great way to get in front of.
This is great. And I did like the recap as far as the proposal, because I think that is absolutely an enterprise kind of a thing you could do.
And if you have an address and you want to send something and these are like $50, okay? And that's not even buying in bulk. These are like $50 if you know where it's going.
Oh, we talked about that last week with Cole. Look at that.
And when he was talking about it, I didn't say nothing because it was his show. I didn't want to say shit. But those are so effective. So I'm running a campaign in Phoenix right now for Aetna, And what we're doing is it's a donut box. It looks like a donut box. We're shipping this out to the independent brokers, and inside is a $10 gift certificate for a local donut company. And they have to scan the QR code and put it in an email to actually get the $10, right? Very effective, really effective. I don't know about the helicopters. He was talking about that last week, but this is great. So if you can get this in someone's hand, right? Quick recap or hey, listen, I just want to go through super fast, and telling people it's 45 seconds, right? Even if they can see the bar at the bottom, you're asking them to do a second task of looking down, right? 45 seconds, David.
All right, we got Patricia. Pat, you there? I see you. Can you get yourself off mute?
John, stop talking about the expos, please.
This is the first test, Pat, to participate in Tequila Tuesdays. Can you figure out how to get yourself off mute? Yes.
Okay, yeah, I was actually updating my calls to action on my video program, which is co-video. I like it. I understand we're going to go to Gong soon, but how do you feel about the whiteboard? I mean, hello. Messaging. Good idea, bad idea? What do you think?
So in my mind, you know, and it depends on who if you're talking to Todd Caponi, the CRO, he's seen that. If I'm talking to one of my clients, which is a chain of storage, and they're going after, you know, different people, they're going after moving companies, that would work. But this works. This is just called Make It Big. It's an app. So this just changes the dynamic, just makes it a bit more contemporary, only because people have seen that. But does it work? Oh yeah. Yeah. When people realize it's custom, like truly customized, I totally game the system by bulk sending to a bunch of mics. But normally what I'll do is if there's 51 people in this room, I'll take 45. It's faster for me to shoot a video than it is to construct a personalized email, unless I'm just copy pasting or blisting something out. But just being like, hey, Scott, how you doing? Brian, how you? Hey, John, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? I can sit down there and just, because, you know, Jacqueline, we were earlier, just do it in that one take, you know, the one take. But bring the energy. This is another thing that's missed. Bring the energy. Bring something that's going to get that. Click the button. It's like, oh wow, you know what else is sitting back with, you know, shit behind the headset on, be like, hey Mike, how are you? Right? Own the room. That's what I would tell my people who are pitching all the time. Own the fucking stage. It's your stage, your show. Own it. Right? Sorry, Brian's got the kids there. Always got the earpods in. Okay.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Go for it, Patricia.
All right, my boss is always getting on my case because when I have to hold a video, it's kind of like this, right? And then my logo has to show, right? And like, how important is it to be centered?
So I always try and do kind of mid torso, like upper pectoral up. I want to have my arms and my head, but what you see here is the same thing that I shoot my videos in. So maybe a smidge farther back, Patricia. I wouldn't worry about the logo. The logo at this point is not relevant. You want them to click play, period. The logo is not going to affect them clicking the play button, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would.
My bills. Apparently, it's important to him, and you know, so I guess I'll move the desk out a little bit further. Thank you, Nick.
It's a pleasure.
Nick, what was that app that you mentioned? The big.
Make big.
Make it big.
Make it big.
Okay.
And, you know, if you are putting, you know what, let me show you else real super fast here, guys. And it's going to take me half an hour to figure out how to get out of this. But let me show you what I use for how Kapwing. This is incredibly basic. If you want to start, and I figured this out by Googling how to do Gary Vee style videos. All my videos are done through this. I spend seconds on editing. All you do is you pull up a background or you have a generic background. Let me spell it for you. It's loading. KAPWING.com. And it's literally, I just text, I dropped a video in, The longest thing I do is it'll auto generate the subtitles, which is amazing. So on a 60-second video, it'll take me 6 or 7 minutes to go through and make sure that the subtitles are correct. And I, you know, some people, they just, their subtitles are a hot garbage. 70% of people who watch my videos don't listen. So I want the subtitles to be tight, right? I know, right, Brian? It's crazy, right? But I did a survey. I'm like, how many of you listen without sound? So what's happening is they're working on their work, but then they also want that actionable insight that I'm trying to give that day.
All right, we got Hayden with our next question. Hayden Richardson, radio.
Yeah. Hey, Nick. Thank you. So I definitely agree. And I like being able to go into that person's LinkedIn profile and try to grab anything you can. You know, it's kind of like Dale Carnegie 101, have something in common and find out what they're interested in. The struggle that I have is my target persona is typically information security. So like don't have LinkedIn exactly. Or so I think like kind of back to your cruise ship days of like the 4-day of like bankers or, you know, people that are, you know, more just not full of energy. Like I almost have to kind of mirror or tone down how I'm acting with them because they're just very blah in a lot of ways. So any advice or thoughts on that?
So, you know, I was saying my biggest client's a fintech, you know, and I had that 6 minutes of dead air. So what happened was at how I solved that problem because I was getting anxiety from it. I'm like, somebody say something or I'm going to freak out. So I quickly went on LinkedIn. I found one of the people and there was snow outside, but she was from Florida. And I said, hey, so-and-so, you know, I'm just curious, where you at? Oh, I'm actually from Florida, but I'm in blah, blah, blah. Oh, what part of Florida are you in? But in my head, I knew where she was. She was in Delray Beach. So I was putting my own little, you know, history of my experience in Florida together. And so it lined up. And then we filled the rest of that time, right? So at least no one was uncomfortable. And I saw people who were, because I was trying to make it interesting and I was talking about restaurants and food. Food is always the easy one, right? Everyone likes food. That's what it is. Okay, so not to get off topic, but that's how my crew on the cruise ship was not Canadian or American. They were Serbian and South African and Colombian and everywhere else. So how do I teach someone, because this was, you needed to build rapport because you're distracted by the casino. I need you thinking about jewelry. So how do I get someone from Belgrade to interact with someone from Eau Claire, Wisconsin? I can't teach them about the Green Bay Packers, right? But I can say, next time you meet someone from Wisconsin, say, oh, I'm a foodie. What's the one thing I have to eat in Wisconsin? Well, it's cheese curds. Done. Well, now that's in their bank, right? So you name a city, you know, St. Louis. So I get someone from St. Louis. I'm talking, anyone here from St. Louis?
I hope not.
I'm talking about toasted ravioli, Mama's on the Hill, Pro Cheese, you know, the St. Louis Blues. You want to win over someone from New Mexico? How does the rest of the country not know about Hatch Green Chilies?
Yeah.
It changes the dynamic. So I didn't have anything because I wasn't prepped in that 6 minute at dead time, but I scrambled and I still got something going. And I saw people pulling away from their screen and coming in when we started talking about food, right? Because they're also doing, these are people doing compliance. That's boring. I mean, that's like information security, right?
Super dry. No, I think back to Brian's point earlier, like, I don't think I'm that funny either. I think like, so how can you not be robotic, you know, and just like try to build rapport? And it's just like super, like you said, yeah, super dry people. And I feel like kind of the less salesy you can be, they actually prefer that. So that's what you just have to try and keep in mind.
So my answer to that, Hayden, is I would really work on my tempo and my pace. Sometimes I'm going to talk really quick, but then I'm going to get to an important point and I'm going to slow down because that way I'm not being salesy. I'm using my tempo to keep them engaged. And whenever I say something, I used to teach my people on the ship this all the time. When I want you to this is our biggest product. Okay. You're going to lead up to the story. You're going to lead up. You're going to walk to the front of the stage. You're literally going to stand up and lean in and pause for 2 seconds. And I want you to count it off in your head. And I would watch for this. 1, 2. It's not long. It feels like forever when you're leaned over that stage. But what happens is everybody focused on you. you have completely pulled the focus back in on you. Then you drop the big reveal of what you're trying to say. So, and this is something nobody does, but this was the biggest problem I had. I'd have people that are trying to get through 90 minutes worth of content in 60 minutes, right? So they're like, but I'm like, what are the key points? So the average presentation on these cruise ships was supposed to be an hour. Most people did an hour, 15, hour and 20. Mine were like 32, 33 minutes because I didn't go through the whole script. I would pick the really key points and I would think about what's the best way to word this. And what I do all the time, and if you've seen any of my videos, a couple of things I say, one of the things I say all the time is thesaurus.com, right? We have these crutch words, or we don't have a way to say something beautifully. And this goes back to, I grew up in Montreal, which is a French city, right? It's a very European city. It's not the most European city in North America, Quebec City would be, but it's a great hybrid between a North American market and a European city. But growing up, we spoke English at home, but we spoke about things beautifully. One thing the Europeans do in general, but the French specifically, they really speak about things in a pretty way. So that's what I try and do. So if I'm talking about information security, I can't say something pretty about information security, but I can find a better word than amazing or incredible or secure. There's other ways to great words. And literally, almost every day I'm on thesaurus.com.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Every day I'm on thesaurus.com. That's like your LinkedIn video for tomorrow. You need to use that as like the first sentence and then just run with it. And all 60 of us.
Hooky enough, Scott. It's not
we'll be the ones who know what you're talking about. I don't know that I've ever gone to thesaurus.com because I'm not that smart. And I'm just owning that.
But see, I'm not smart, right?
But you care that you're not smart, so you're actively trying to make yourself more smart. That's like the difference between.
No, I'm not trying to learn. I'm using technology to backfill my lack of knowledge. Because growing up in Montreal, we spoke English and French interchangeably, right? So English was my first language. But if anyone here knows Montreal or any Canadians, like we'll be mid conversation, puis après ça on va dire quelque chose en français, and then we go right back to English. And the rest of Canada is like, yeah, franglais. There you go. Jennifer got it. Franglais, exactly. But so I was embarrassed by how I spoke when I first got on the cruise ships, and I'm trying to talk to Americans. Right. So it was a self-conscious thing for me.
Listen, most Americans, you could speak any foreign language to most Americans and speak it poorly, and we'd be like, wow, that was amazing. And we would all just be impressed. Bad accent, everything, we wouldn't know the difference. Nikki Ivy, you're next. Nikki's been waiting patiently.
I'm off mute. I did it myself.
She's off mute.
Hello, Nick Capozzi.
Hey, Nikki Ivy.
It's good to see you again.
Good to see you. Go Mavs.
Go Mavs. My question is about how to use video for promo on social. So I'm doing an online course and I'm wanting to try video for organic and see if I even need to put money behind it. What platforms, I guess is a different question, but do the rules for video need to be different when it's promoting something versus prospecting?
Yeah, 100%. Because now you're well, depends what you're selling, Nikki, but you said courses, you're selling B2C. B2C is very good. Now that's my wheelhouse, right? I'm like, oh, you guys know B2B, man.
I know. That's why I came here to ask you this.
So here's what I'll tell you. Because I've seen you on Thursday Night Sales, I've seen you saying you have an infectious personality. You just need to be you, and you need to be engaging and excited, and you need to let those facial expressions and the eye movement and the lean in. It's just like you're singing on a stage. You want to bring that exact same mentality to your videos. And how this all started for me, how I quit my job on God Online, was someone reached out to me and said, hey, I heard you do videos through so-and-so. I go, yeah, I didn't even think anything of it. I was like a VP of sales for a manufacturing firm. And he goes, can you do something for a funnel? I said, a sales funnel? He said, a click funnel. I said, what the fuck's a click funnel? And that's what I did. I went in and became basically their converter, right?
Yeah.
That's what I did on the stage for cruises. I got people to click the button. And everything that I just went through, Nikki, is all the stage techniques is how you get people in a funnel to click through and actually purchase.
Okay, so that answered another question of mine too, right? So I'm using all of these apps that can like create videos that are like, they've got like music that sounds like it came from an action adventure film and like words on the screen. I was like, should the video be that if I'm trying to reach an audience outside of LinkedIn, or should it be me?
It should be you. And the reason I'm always on a white background and it converts better, think the like nicest steakhouse you've been to, right? You go to Morton's or Ruth Chris or a nicer steakhouse than that. What do you get? You get that big, beautiful steak on a big white plate. No other focus. There's no Brussels sprouts. There's no potatoes. Everything's on the side, right? I want all attention on me. And you especially, Nikki, I don't know you very well, but what I know of you, white background, monochromatic color, and just be Nikki and just go. And here's one thing that they also taught you in radio school. If you think you're bringing enough energy, you're not. Elevate it, go even farther. Those are the limits you got to push.
That's really helpful.
Oh, I'm glad I helped Nikki Ivy.
Any last questions? I don't have anybody in my queue. If you got a question, take yourself off mute and ask it. We're going to try to wrap up here in just a second.
Hey Nick, what do you think about building rapport with some of the more conservative enterprise buyers mid or late in the conversation? Sometimes you just want to hear what you have to say. In the past, I've tried it where later on in the conversation, I'll start to build up some rapport.
Oh shit, someone froze. Sorry, Johnny, I think I froze or you froze. So you're at the point where now you've built some rapport.
Now, what I'm saying is a lot of these conservative enterprise buyers, some of the bigger deals, they just want to get straight to the point. They don't always give you the opportunity to build rapport up front. What do you think of building it midway or later on? A lot of times I'll start with the facts and then I'll build rapport toward the end. It takes a lot of pressure off.
So what I do, Johnny, is, and not specifically, again, I told you I don't know sales, so I don't want to hit you. I will always fish for rapport. And if I get the not interested, pivot right now to what we're going to talk about. Just, okay, great, fantastic. Let's go into that. Still big smile, still controlling the meeting, still being, personable, but again, using that tempo and pace and pausing so that they are fully engaged. The reality is, guys, is that, you're at the point with the buyer, but there's so many opportunities for people to get traction with the other people leading up to that, right? And I'm always trying to get a champion on the other side. All I'm trying to do is, if there's 10 vendors in the discussion, build rapport and hit the lottery with someone so I'm in the top 3 right away. That's what I'm trying to eliminate competition. I want it to be that they're thinking about me. Hayden is thinking, you know what? I like that guy, Nick. You know what? He's distracted by the fact he thinks he likes me. So what's happening now is that he's going to put me into the top 3 or eliminate other people, even if it might, because the reality is the solutions are pretty similar. I got news for you guys. I know you think everyone's selling something unique. The solutions are kind of similar. So how do I get that champion and how do I earn it? And if they're kind of bumping you up throughout that funnel, Johnny, that's your best bet. But like I said, if people don't, I'll always throw a line in the water for rapport. And if I get a body language or a quick answer, great, pivot.
You're using video for prospecting. You're using video to also recap the proposal. What else are you using video for?
You're killing me here, Johnny. I mentioned it earlier that, happy birthdays, follow-ups. On an enterprise level, it's a different kind of story. But, the referral requests. Jacqueline, are you happy with my product? Are you happy with that? And guys, I don't know if you noticed something here, but do you see how I've addressed all of you kind of continuously, right? Did it feel forced? Using people's names? Because I did a video on that. I said, if you're having a 30-minute conversation, I want to try and say your name 8 times. Aim for 8, land at 4. It personalizes it. Psychologically, it changes the alarm bells that would normally go off in your frontal lobe. It changes them, right? I'm never forcing it. But at the same time, I want people to feel like subconsciously like, oh wow, I like Nick even more than I think I did, 5 minutes ago.
I think that about wraps it up. We have Patrick. He had one last question. We'll get to Patrick Downey.
I think I just answered it. Fake white video looks like it sucks.
Well, there you go.
I want to know, hey, Nick, I have to say, I think I have ADD until I watch you, and I was completely captivated for 90 minutes. So well done. Thank you. What was your best hook you've used for prospecting? Any fun story, humor?
You know what? Not putting a subject line.
Interesting.
That's pretty baller.
That
right?
is. And
Because
they just open.
Right? What do I have here? Right? That's been interesting. Or just something clever. One of my biggest sales ever was a guy who I noticed that he was a certified youth hockey coach. We started talking hockey. He was from Connecticut. We talked about the Hartford Whalers, which no longer exist, for 25 minutes of the conversation. He's like, what's next steps?
Wow. I could talk Montreal bagels and smoked meat for 25 minutes.
Oh my God, what I do for Schwartz's right now.
Listen, there will be no talk anywhere around the vicinity of Canadian food on Tequila Tuesday. For fuck's sake. This is my one barrier, my one limit that we have.
Hey, we'll just talk tequila.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Just no Canadian food. Just lie to me and call it French food. I would be fine. I won't even know the difference. Just please don't say Canadian.
Well, there's a lot of French food in Montreal too.
There's the only food that's really Canadian is like French Canadian food. Anything else is like, ethnic, even if it's like, German settlers 200 years ago to Saskatchewan. The only kind of really authentic Canadian food would be like French Canadian food, because they've been there for like 500 years and they eat like moose and beaver and shit. Lunatics. No, there's a pie. There's a pie they make that it's a layer of game, then crust, then a layer of game. It cooks for like 8 hours. It's like, what's the matter with you? Or sugar pie, or obviously poutine. You guys know poutine.
I can't believe that we're here. I'm done. This is done. Nick, it's
been
great. Jill, you are not allowed to ask any more goddamn questions about food.
Oh, don't say
anywhere
that.
Around Canada. No, listen. You're on PIP, Jill. You're on a PIP.
Ban me.
You're on a food PIP is what you're on. Okay, I'm putting you back on mute. No, you're on mute. No Canadian food. Nick, take us out of here. Give these people one or two things real quick that they can actionably, execute tomorrow and the next day. What do you want them to walk away from this conversation with?
Get Vidyard. Or Bomb or Loom, whatever you prefer. Loom's easy.
One of the tools.
Loom is easy. Okay. And just practice. The other thing is, the first time you do it, you're going to hate it. You're going to be like, this sucks. I don't want to do this. Get through it. Okay. And look, guys, there's a lot of shit I've tried and I'm like, I gave up on the first try. Right. But if you do this, not only is this effective for sales, we live in a video world. Everything we do is Zoom. And when I tell people, when I try and draw an analogy between what I did on a stage on a cruise ship, that was Major League Baseball. Coming down to a Zoom box is single A baseball on a rehab assignment. I'm going to hit 700 over the week. This is too easy for me, right? It's easy because of the repetitions. So using video or just practicing with video, even if you don't want to post it, just practicing with video will make you better at every conversation you have the rest of your life. That I promise you.
Really good. This has been a lot of fun. Go ahead, Nick.
For some reason, I just want to say I can't download the chat. If anyone can like grab the chat and send it to me, I just want to, if someone says
the only person who can grab the chat is me, and I ain't sending that anywhere, bro. Nowhere.
Right,
nowhere. No. I'll upload the video. Everybody will get a chance to watch the video tomorrow. Go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say, if you're on LinkedIn, please connect with me. I would love to be connected to you guys on LinkedIn. And my new website just came up yesterday, salespitching.com. I had a shitty funnel before, but now it's salespitching.com. So how did I get that URL? The URL was sleeping.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming to Tequila Tuesday. Big thanks to Nick. Appreciate all of you. Great questions. We'll see you next time. Oh, look at that. Ian Powell. Well played, Ian. Well played. Got the app and used it.
Yeah.
We out.